just wanted to talk a bit about kind of my path to a starch-based diet so that then I can explain what a starch-based diet is really. So my journey to a starch-based diet, as many of you know, but I did get a lot of questions about this at the recent Veg Fest that I spoke at and did a cooking demonstration at. And then I've just been getting a lot of messages about it. So I wanted to go ahead and just cover the topic kind of in depth here, and then we can be interactive and just kind of roll with it as we go. But my journey to a starch-based diet is, again, I was a college football player for the University of Nebraska. Started all of the 2013 season, I think it was. Let's see here. I've got my commemorative Tax Slayer Gator Bowl 2014 champions against the Georgia Bulldogs. You know, we beat the Georgia Bulldogs, something that the old Irish couldn't do last night. But so I was a college football player, starter, bowl champion, and enjoying it. And then the following off season, I unfortunately suffered a back injury. I was working out with the football team, stepped back from the squatting bar, and just like that, the lights went out. And I, over the course of the next couple of months, I ended up having some discs that herniated, slipped, disc conjoined. It was a whole cocktail of pain. And we tried a little bit of everything. Tried to go through physical therapy, pool therapy, hydrotherapy, acupuncture, everything you could think of. But in the end, it ended up having surgery, 6.5-hour surgery. Not something I'd recommend, but surgery to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And I found myself sitting in, I had to take a semester off, but I found myself back in classes. I was an animal science professor. I was an animal science student studying livestock nutrition and livestock production. And I'm sitting there, asking my professors, hey, you know what? My doctor's telling me I need to lose weight. My family's telling me I need to lose weight. It's going to be, I got this bad back now, or this back that's been severely compromised, and now I need to lose weight. So what should I do? And, of course, my professors that I'm asking are animal science professors. And so they're saying, try the ketogenic diet, try the low carb diet, try the eggs, bacon, and grease diet. And I did, right? These are my professors. These are people I look up to. And unfortunately, my health kept deteriorating. I wasn't losing weight. And if I did lose a few pounds, I would subsequently gain 10 more after losing just a few, getting back on what was the standard American diet. And so it was discouraging, and a cycle that I know many of you have either been down or are still on. And because, you grow up and you don't notice it, but my parents were obese. My sister was overweight. I was overweight. Everybody was overweight. Everybody was overweight or obese. There was no skinny people around. So you don't notice it. And then but you always say, oh, if I want to lose the weight, I can just do it. I'll just get on the treadmill, I'll start running, I'll start exercising. But unfortunately, when you have a broken back and you're relearning how to walk, getting on the treadmill and just losing a few pounds isn't an option. And that's another scenario I'm sure many of you are in. Your health has gotten to the point where exercise isn't a viable option for really anything right now. Of course, long-term exercise is great, but to tell someone that's bedridden or, unable to exercise that's the only way to lose weight, absurd. But that was my thinking. That was the only way I thought I could. But I was asking my professors and not getting the results that I wanted until I was sitting down in one of my nutrition classes, and I look over to the girl next to me and I say, there is something wrong with this picture. And sorry, Bella is down there and just bumped my light. But I'm sitting in this class. I said, there's something wrong with this picture. And I'm looking up at the professor, and she says, what? We sit in this class. We've been sitting in classes for semesters now. What's wrong with this picture? I say, I've been taking advice from this nutrition professor. And for the first time, I realized that the professor that was giving me advice was 300 pounds. Okay. And at that point in time, I realized something's got to change. I've got to do something different. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm done taking advice from my 300-pound nutrition professor who's telling me to eat more eggs, eat more bacon, eat more meat, and eat less carbohydrates. And so around that time, serendipitously, I also stumbled upon a documentary that was before the flood. It was a Leonardo DiCaprio film or documentary. It was about kind of what was happening around in the environment. It had really nothing to do with a plant-based diet, a vegan diet, or really the ethics behind any of it. It was all just kind of what's happening to the environment and the world around us. And it was interesting because a lot of the stats that were being brought, and there wasn't a ton, but it was talking about how it takes 1,500 gallons of water to produce a gallon of milk. What is it? Similarly, 1,200 or 12 to 18, I think, to produce a quarter pounder of beef. And I'm sitting watching this, and these are the same things I've been, hearing. And my wife at the time, yes, Erica was my wife then, and she still is my wife. But we're sitting down, and she's like, wow, this is crazy. Did you know it takes that much water? And I said, yeah, we hear about that every day in my livestock production classes. But instead of hearing how bad using 2,000 gallons of water to produce a quarter pounder of beef is, we hear, how do we get that cow to drink 2,001 gallons of water and eat a little bit more grain, eat a little bit more grass, so that we produce a quarter pounder and another ounce of beef for the bottom line. So at that point in time, I realized, all right, what I'm hearing from my classes and what's happening around, the questions that I'm not getting answered by my professors, or that they don't know the answer to, or that they don't want to tell, is kind of disjointed with what I'm seeing in the world around me and what I want to see the world around me. And I'm still 100 pounds overweight and upset about that. And so that led me on the path to finding and realizing that, hey, there's got to be something different. I've tried all the animal-based diets. And so I overnight decided that it was January and decided that, hey, I'm going to give this vegan diet a try. They say that, eating animal products is bad for the environment and it's bad for my health. Well, okay, I'll give a vegan diet a try. And I said, all right, let's go. You imagine sitting in junior and senior level animal science, livestock production classes as a vegan. It's not something I vocalized. We'll just say that. But I gave it a shot, and I started to feel pretty much the exact same right away starting the vegan diet, right? Because here's the problem. Many of you here, you see doctors talk, you see a Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. McDougall, Dr. Campbell, Dr. Barnard, and you say, all right, cut out the meat, milk, eggs, eat a plant-based diet. But unfortunately, you go to the store, and every package that doesn't have meat, milk, or eggs in it, or fish, says plant-based. And so I went and I got the plant-based, or the vegan cream cheese, the vegan sour cream, the tortilla chips that I was already eating, the vegan crumbles, the vegan cheeses. And I just switched out all the animal products I was eating for the vegan or the plant-based analogs. And so what happened was nothing. I was doing maybe better for the environment a bit and better for the animals, of course, but for my personal health, it just was the same. And it wasn't until and that wasn't a super long time, but until a few months later, I realized that, hey, if I wanted to see real drastic change, I can't just change out all the junk food I was eating for non-animal-based junk food. I'm going to have to change up to what is a healthier diet. And luckily I got started to read and adopt a lot of the books and the information that was out there by a lot of the plant-based doctors like Dr. McDougall, Dr. Esselstyn, T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Barnard, and realizing that instead of trying to imitate the diet that had led me to being sick, fat, overweight, unhealthy, and trying to imitate that, I needed to go completely 360 and say, all right, that's that. I'm going to eat what people who don't look like me and who don't have the problems and the illness and the physical limitations that I have. And that is the foods that people and populations have eaten for thousands of years as their staples. And those foods are foods. It's not kale. People don't eat kale as the staple of their diet. They're not eating collard greens as the staple of their diet. They're not eating Swiss chard as the staple of their diet. Okay, they're not eating fruit, bananas or pineapples or mangoes as the staple of their diet. People populations are eating starches as the base of their diets. And that could be rice in Asia. That could be potatoes in Ireland. That could be quinoa. That could be Sweet potatoes, as the Okinawans in Japan. It could be these. I say the simple starchy staples, but I understand that could be confusing sometimes because you might think simple starch, and you might just hear simple starch, you think table sugar. No, that's a simple sugar. What I mean by the simple starch is that they're simple because you don't have to do anything to them. You just cook them. So simple meaning simple for you, not simple as the food itself, because it is a complex carbohydrate. It acts very differently in your body than, say, table sugar, even a maple syrup and agave, those simple sugars. What a potato, a sweet potato, rice, corn, quinoa, oats do in your body is much different. And that's for a couple of reasons. That's because they are very full of fiber. When you eat them, they're full of water. And, of course, they're full of phytonutrients. So I started eating these foods, and that's when I really started to see the health improvements. At 100 pounds overweight and really unable to exercise, I find myself only being able to control really one thing, and that was what I was putting in my mouth and eating 3 times a day, 4 times a day, or 5 times a day if I was hungry. And that's when things started to turn around. I began to eat baked potatoes with steamed broccoli or some 3-bean chili that, it didn't have any animal products. It didn't have any oil in it. It was just a healthy, hearty stew or chili over some potatoes or sweet potatoes. Rice, we began eating brown rice with maybe just some soy sauce, or brown rice with some green beans or green peas. And everything just started to change for the better when we started started eating and fixing food the exact opposite of what, say, my mom had been told for all the years that she had tried to lose weight, or that I had been told as I was trying to lose weight. We instead of cutting out the carbohydrates, we built our diet just around them. And 80-90% of the calories that I consume, and I consumed as I was losing that 100 pounds, we're from simple starchy staples. We're from complex carbohydrate sources like rice, beans, corn, oats, potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice. I think I might have said it, quinoa. So that is it. Now that's how I got into it, right? So I lost, over 2 years, I lost 100 pounds at about a pound a week rate, which was amazing. Of course, it would be amazing for anyone, but especially amazing for someone who had a bad back, who just had gone through a 6.5-hour surgery, someone who needed to lose the weight if they didn't want to end up on the operating table again, or if they didn't want to end up with chronic back pain for the rest of their life. And that is something that is extremely common in back injuries, and especially if you go in and they start messing around doing surgeries. Chronic back pain long-term is a very big issue, unless, and sometimes it still is, but unless you can lose the weight and put the pressure off the back, right? You've got this spine here that's supporting everything, and the more weight you have on it, the more pressure is beaming down on that back. So that's how I got into it. And right, I lost 100 pounds over the course of 2 years. Now I've kept it off for a couple years. Feel great, stronger than I ever have been, lighter, more agile. I'm sure I was physically more active before, just because of the limitations that I still have with the back of not being able to really go out and just run around or go jogging or something, just because of the pressure it might put on there. But I still go out, get on the bike, and sorry, I've got a little dry in here. One of Bubbles or Bella's hair might have got in my throat there, but it's a little scratchy. So that's how I got started with it. Now, that's great. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. We are going to go through questions, and we are going to answer them. I am going to answer them. But yeah, so that's how I got started with it. Now, here's a couple things you might say. A couple of the contradicting approaches or questions would say, Gabriel, I tried eating baked potatoes, but I just put weight on when I eat baked potatoes. Or, Gabriel, I try to eat rice, but whenever I eat rice, I just put on weight. It just puts weight on like crazy. I hear it all day. Oats, oats, I'll eat some oatmeal and it just puts weight on like crazy. Well, here's a couple things. One, just starting off, if you come to a simple starchy diet, a starch-based diet built around simple starchy staples, from a low-carb or ketogenic diet, which is a carbohydrate-free diet, which most people don't even do right, and so a bad diet. Can you do a bad diet right? Well, we'll see. But those people that come from that way of eating, like I did, you've completely depleted your glycogen stores. You've completely, all your glucose. You've completely, you've depleted that storage of that extra. If you're going to go for a run, what that energy gets used first is your glycogen stores. And if you don't have any stores there, of course, you don't have that weight of the glycogen in there. And what else happens is you don't store as much water when you're on something like a low carb diet. So you may have jumped on to a plant-based, a starch-based diet built around simple starchy staples and put on 10 pounds in the first 3 or 4 days. You didn't put on 10 pounds of fat. Let's just go through that. You didn't put on 10 pounds of fat. You just built back up your glycogen scores. You put on a little bit more water. Overall, you're healthier. But that should be your new base point there. So there's that. Some people, that's a question. The big one, the big one here that I get, I can't eat potatoes, Gabriel. I just can't. They put on weight. What are you putting on those potatoes? Bill, Bob, Jill, Jane? What are we putting on those potatoes? And if Bill, Bob, Jill, or Jane are on here, I'm not talking about those. Those are just names I popped in my head. Here's the deal. What are you putting on those potatoes? Because a baked potato covered in butter, covered in sour cream, drizzle on the cheese or sprinkle on the cheese, that's going to put on the weight. And a lot of people, I hear it all the time, I can't eat potatoes, I put on weight. What are you putting on your potato? Because if you put, and when I do, or when Erica does, Dr. Miller does, my mom, my dad, when you bake a potato, when you steam a potato, you boil a potato, you smash it out on a plate, and you put some delicious steamed broccoli or a chili, oil-free, and you put some greens, or maybe you just put your favorite little barbecue or ketchup sauce on there, you're not going to gain weight from that. You're going to gain weight from the fiber and the water in it, but that's not going to put on the pounds. But take that same baked potato, cook it in, you bake it, but when you bake it, you rub it in olive oil, and then you smash it down, you put some sour cream, some butter, cheese, and then you maybe throw on a fatty chili on there, full of oil, whatnot. That's going to be a lot different than that baked potato with steamed greens or an oil-free vegan chili on there. So what are you putting on your simple starches? That's another one. Here's the other thing. And here is something that's very real that may be the case. Some people say, I can't eat rice because if I eat rice, I eat 10 cups of it. Or, I just overeat. That might be the case. I have found over time, though, here's my take on it. There are some, it also has to do with what you're putting on it. Growing up, my mom used to make, thanks Mom, used to make my favorite, which was two of them actually, prepared the exact same, was a baked potato. She'd, either steam it or put it in the microwave or, cook it, however, and then smothered in butter, probably an eighth or a fifth of a stick of butter, and then put on a fourth of a cup-ish of brown sugar. And I'd eat that. She would cook rice, pull it out, put on a fifth of a stick of butter, put on a fourth of a cup of brown sugar, and that's how I'd eat my rice. I can tell you what, I could put away 8-10 cups of rice in a sitting. I could put away 5 or 6 sweet potatoes in a sitting. You smother them in that, and you put sugar on it. So I'm not saying to do that. But what I am saying is that if you do take that sweet potato or that rice and you mix it with your favorite sauce, so you may notice that, hey, if I put soy sauce on rice, I can eat 8 cups. Maybe you try not doing that. There's a lot of different things, but here is the key. At the base, the most simplest form of it, you bake a sweet potato. It gets nice and sweet just from the baking. You put that on your plate, you mash it down, and you eat that baked sweet potato. You're not going to eat more than 2 or 3 of those sweet potatoes, depending on the size, right? You're going to eat a pound of sweet potato, and you're going to be full. That's it. Now you start putting maple syrup on it. You start putting a little vegan butter on there. You start putting this or that. You might eat, that might be a trigger for you. That might cause you to eat a lot more. So that's where there can be a problem. I'm not saying to eat everything plain. I'm just saying you notice that. So when you say, oh, I can't eat potatoes because, or oats, I can't eat oats because I'm always, I can never fill up on oats. I have to eat, 3 or 4 cups. Well, Are you putting a fourth of a cup, half a cup of maple syrup on there? You putting, some sugar, even if it's like a coconut, whatever you want to say. I'd watch that. That would be my question on there. But here's the other thing that I've found is, there's been times where if I'm exercising heavily, I could eat 5, 6, 7, 8 cups of rice in a sitting. But that doesn't last, right? You might think, that, oh my gosh, I ate 5 cups of rice. Not saying to do that. But if you ate 3, 4 potatoes in a sitting, you fill up, you just don't feel, you're probably not going to go back next meal and eat 4, 5, 6 potatoes in a sitting. You're going to regulate over time, right? The key is that once we do reach a healthy body weight, that these foods are so great because they are so high in water, are so high in fiber, that we can kind of rest assured knowing that if you fill up a little over bit, you overeat in a meal, you're not overeating in a high fat, a highly processed, junk food meal. You might overeat in a healthy, high carbohydrate, high fiber, low fat, plant-based, starch-based meal, and you might have a little bit extra, you might just be a little warm that night as your body's burning off those extra carbohydrates, but that's not going to throw on the fat. Now, you do that every single night, or if you're trying to lose weight, that could be a bit of a problem, but I haven't seen that in many people's cases, or anybody's, as someone who is a professional buffet eater with my dad growing up, thanks, Dad, we'd go to some of these endless feasts, we'll say, where they bring out the same thing over and over again. We would battle it out to see who had the longest receipt, who ate the most. So you don't have to tell me about overeating or about quantity or mass eating. I know all about it, and that's what a great thing about a simple starchy diet is, that you can you do fill up. It's not overeating or gorging yourself, but you fill up, you feel full. And if, you always throw in some greens, or you throw in some steamed broccoli, some green beans, some Brussels sprouts, that extra fiber is going to help fill you up even more. So let's get to a question here. Let's see. Colleen says, your simple approach to this way of eating has been the key to my success. 1.5 years now, off meds, lost the weight I could never lose, and I can't imagine going back to standard American diet. Thank you, Gabriel. Well, Colleen, that is so amazing to hear. Thank you for just putting that out there. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, just to reiterate my family's experience with this, right? I get on this way of eating. I lose the 100 pounds. I tell my sister about it. She loses 50, 60 pounds. I tell my mom about it, and my dad. And many of you know the story about how my dad was pretty much battling to save his leg, and how my dad's battling to save his leg, and I decided to come home and help mom and dad out. Like a good son, I sacrificed a little bit for that, but decided that I would do that with one condition. That'd be I cook every single meal, 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I did that, and I see my mom's on here, so she'll recognize. I said, hey, if you agree to that, I'll come home. I'll help drive Dad around, take him to the hospital visits, and try to save his leg. And my mom's like, yeah, you're gonna cook. That's great. Less for me. And my dad said, well, what do I got to lose other than my leg? So I came home, and over the course of 4 or 5 months, I think it was, my dad lost 50 pounds, and that was while being in a wheelchair. And actually had his knee out. There was an infection in his knee. They were saying they were going to have to amputate, but they were going to give it a shot. They they come in, take his knee out, his replacement knee out, put him in a wheelchair with a spacer in his knee, and lose 50 pounds. All right. What was he eating? He was eating rice and bean burritos, oil-free, starch-based. He was eating bean burgers, my famous bean burgers. Right? There's a recipe, Gabriel's famous bean burgers. He was eating those. He was eating, I don't know what else. He ate a lot of burgers and burritos. We'll say that because he ate a lot of burgers and burritos before eating this way. Now we just switch it up a little bit. Instead of a ground beef and cheese sour cream burrito, we did a rice and bean and a fat-free refried bean burrito with shredded lettuce on top with salsa. He loved it. Instead of a fatty, artery clogging hamburger, we covered in cheese and we did a bean burger on buns, a bean burger with lettuce, onion, tomato. My dad's the sauce boss. He loves sauces, and so of course there was some mustard, ketchup, barbecue sauce, A1 sauce, and every other sauce under this under the sun, I'm sure, on there. But guess what? It was all starch based. It was all whole food, plant based, oil free. and he lost the weight. And so that's my experience with this way of eating, being able to keep it off. And, my mom just made this big pot of chili for my mom and dad. They FaceTimed us last night, and, just to see, dad's eating up on this great starch-based foods, and it's not full. He's not going to bed hungry, but he is going to bed a lot thinner and a lot healthier than he was a couple years ago. And that's been our experience. And so I'm so glad to see that that's your experience too, Colleen. That is amazing to hear. Let's see here. Rose, thank you for all you share. You're an inspiration. Thank you, Rose, cheering you on. Let's see. Beth, how does age affect whole food plant-based weight loss? All right, Beth, that's a really good question. Here is a simple answer. It does, but it's not. It affects does age affect whole food? It affects the rate, I would say. Just because you're a certain age doesn't mean that you are going to have trouble losing the weight, or that you can't lose the weight, or that you'll never, here's the thing. And here's what I found, and take it as it is. I found that those who adopted at a younger age maybe have not had the excess weight on as long, or have maybe still might be a little bit more active. That wasn't my case, right? But those who adopt it at the earlier age, I think, seem to have a bit of, we're talking 30, 35-ish, have an easier time just, adopting the starches, and then the weight's coming off. Those that seem to be in that, we'll say 35 to 55 range, seems to be a bit of a sticky point for some. And so we'll come back to that. But then you talk about that 55 up to 85, 90. We're in these groups, and you see these 85, 90-year-old individuals that get on a starch-based diet. That's kind of, the sun went down outside, so all right, that looks better. 90, 88-year-old individuals that are getting on a starch-based diet, this plant-based diet. And it's like their body has wanted this for 80, 90 years, and then just the weight and they get down to their perfect body weight super quickly. I mean, if you're in some of the McDougall groups, if you're in some of the whole food plant-based groups, the Forks Over Knives groups, you see it. I mean, it's amazing to see. Here's the thing about that 35, 55 range, and it really is a lot of ladies in that group. My mother in that group, we'll say she's in the lower age group. She's not 55. But here's the deal about it. If you're 55, 56, 57, ladies seem to have a bit of a tougher time in losing the weight. It's like your body wants to hold on to it for dear life almost. And there may be there's some reasons for that, right? If you're in the age of having children, then you hold on to this extra fat. If we were to go into a famine, if we were going into this period of time where, food's unavailable, you had more storages. So your body say evolutionarily, your body just has gotten to the point where it wants to hold on. And that's a tough thing for a lady who's, carrying 50, 60, 70 pounds overweight. But here's some great things that I've found that have been helpful, and I've seen work in many other people. One, the starch-based diet is the diet. It's the diet that people have eaten for thousands of years, and that will eat for thousands of years, and the cheapest, the simplest, the healthiest diet. And here's the big thing about it is that, here's a great thing. Here's something you don't ever want to get to the point where you're 50, 60, 70, 100 pounds overweight like I was, or like many are. You get on this as soon as you can, and that's not a luxury that we have. That's not a luxury I had. It's not a luxury my parents had. But you do have there's young people around you, your children, your grandchildren. You get them on this way of eating, they don't ever have to get fat they don't ever have to have extra weight. They could adopt this way of eating and stay trim and healthy forever, just like, the Okinawans, just like the Seventh-day Adventists, just like these people populations that have eaten this way for thousands of years. But here's some simple tricks. For those in that middle age that are having trouble losing the weight, you may have gotten onto a whole food plant-based diet, but you're not seeing the results you want to see. And again, that's so subjective, because here's the deal. If you're trying to lose 4 or 5 pounds a week, don't expect it. You could, but you're going to be starving yourself. Here's much more realistic. A pound a week, maybe half a pound a week. Because I see a lot of people get on this way of eating, and maybe you're 67, let's say you're 50 pounds overweight. You get on a whole food plant-based diet, and you expect to lose 5 pounds a week, and you want to lose 50 pounds in the next 10 weeks. Well, if you're 45 years old, you might have been gaining that extra 50 pounds for the past 25 years. So to try to lose that weight in 10 weeks, I understand you want to, and sure, you could do it on a fad crash diet, but you're not going to keep it off, and that's not the healthy way to go about it. What you want to do is you're going to adopt a whole food plant-based diet, and we'll talk a little bit here in a second about some of the ways to kind of accelerate that, or kind of if you hit a plateau. But expect your body to get, your body's trying to get back to that equilibrium. Your body doesn't want to be overweight, egregiously. It wants to be at a healthy body weight. But again, if you took 25 years to get 50 pounds overweight, to say give yourself a year or two to lose it, that doesn't seem too crazy to me. I know that's frustrating to some people, but we'll take that as it is. But here's the thing. Here's some simple tricks. You're on simple starchy diet. You're on a starch-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet. A couple things. Make sure you cut out the oil. Oil is not a part of a whole food plant-based diet. It's not a part of a starch-based diet, and it's not going to help you lose weight. It's not going to help you in reaching your overall health goals. I don't care if it's olive oil, coconut oil, the greatest oil that's been sent down from the heavens. There's no such thing as a healthy oil. Studies have been done. Oil is oil, and it reacts the exact same in your body, whether it's expel pressed, it's cold pressed, whether it's blended out, it's chemically pulled out. It's oil. So we're going to cut it out, and then we're going to look at those higher fat foods. And again, this isn't someone who's at a healthy body weight. If you're at a healthy body weight, maybe you have a couple ounces of nuts a day, an ounce of nuts a day. I don't, because I don't want to gain the weight, and I just don't feel good after eating those higher fat foods. But you're going to cut out a lot of those higher fat foods, the nuts, seeds, avocados. Don't build your diet around them, and don't snack on them, and don't overindulge. Maybe half an avocado every 3 or 4 days, maybe an ounce of nuts. But if you think about it, if you're using a plant-based milk in recipes, or just in anything, there's your higher fat foods for the day, for the week. So there's that. So cut out the high fat foods, extremely cut out the oil, and then again, building our diet around the simple starchy staples. But we're going to look to some of those non-starchy vegetables as well to help bulk up on the fiber, bulk up on that quantity, so that not so much that we are going to starve ourselves, or that we're going to get to the point where we're just eating kale and broccoli and greens, but we're going to get to the point where we reach a point of satiety, or just get a little more satiated a little bit quicker. Now, that's been, overlaid in Dr. McDougall's Maximum Weight Loss book. Many others have talked about it. Here's my simple take on it. Here it is. I like to start, if I've hit a plateau, or if I'm, you're in a weight loss period and you're not just losing weight by eating potatoes and rice and corn and beans, and that you might, and here's a great thing about eating potatoes, rice, corn, and beans, is you fill up, you reach a point of satiety, and normally it's kind of perfect, right? I've reached a weight where I fill up and it's a perfect weight. Erica, Dr. Miller, my wife, she fills up. She reaches a point of satiety and fills up. She's not losing weight. She's not gaining weight. She's at a perfect point. But if you're 50 pounds overweight, you don't want to be at that perfect point right away, for the rest of your life, because you're 50 pounds overweight, which you wouldn't have reached if you were, starting out on a simple starchy diet. So here's what I like to do. I like to start my lunch and dinner with a non-starchy vegetable. Now that could be a salad, like my Southwest spinach salad, a great option. That could be steamed green beans, steamed broccoli, great option. Now I like to, I say I like to have that at the start of the meal. That's not it's not like it's a non-negotiable. Salads, if you're gonna eat a salad before lunch or around lunch or dinner, eat it before. I'll eat that salad. I'll just fill me up a little bit with fiber and water, and then when I go to eat that, we'll say baked potato with some salsa on top, instead of needing 4 or 5 baked potatoes to fill up, which may be the case for you, depending on the size of potato and the size of you, it might just be 2 baked potatoes that fill you up. And there you go. You just hit a little bit there, that you've just reduced your overall calories, and calories are we can talk about those, but what the key is that you've created a little bit of a gap where you're going to lose a little bit of weight here, okay? But the key is that you've reached that point of satiety just a little bit quicker before filling up, if you were just going to fill up on the potatoes. Things like broccoli, green beans, I love them, and as I was losing weight, they were a big help. What I would do if I was going to have my rice, or if I was going to have some brown rice, I'd steam some broccoli, or I'd steam those green beans, and then I just mix them in with the rice, and that's just going to help you fill up. You don't overdo it, don't put in 8 cups of rice in there and think, oh, I'm going to eat it all, 2 cups of rice, a cup and a half of rice, or whatever you're going to do. And then you mix in those non-starchy vegetables. So that's my take on it. If you've hit the plateau, if you're someone who's having some trouble weight, you've got some stubborn weight, just, we're still eating a starch-based diet. We're still basing our diet. Our calories are coming from the simple starchy staples, but we're going to add in those non-starchy vegetables to just help bulk up on that fiber and water a little bit and create a little bit of a gap where we can create that weight loss nice and healthfully and steadily over a period. So let's see here. Robin says, I live off potatoes. Robin, good for you. Healthy people live off potatoes. Beth, I hope that helped. I hope that answered your question. Let's see, Kanda, my medical team, chiropractor, and integrative medicine insist that vegan diets are not healthy and that I must add in some animal products and reduce my carb intake. I need a good response to them. Is there a good response to give these people? Well, yes. They're looking at it. If they're saying a vegan diet's not healthy, well, they might be 100% right. If you're eating potato chips and Pepsi, I'm not saying you are, but you could eat potato chips, Oreos, and Pepsi and say be on a vegan diet. So what you need to tell them is that you're not eating I don't know if I would be taking dietary advice from a chiropractor. First of all, we'll just say that. But here's the deal. You're not eating just a junk food vegan diet. You're eating a whole food plant-based diet built around simple starchy staples, the starchy staples, you keep it simple for them, that people have eaten for thousands of years. These are what the blue zones have eaten, and I will shoot me a message if you're on here, and I can send you to a great Dr. McDougall talk where actually, I'll come on after we're done, and I'll link you to some. If that doesn't happen, though, please shoot me a message, and we'll get you hooked up with some good plant-based medical practitioners that do recommend this way of eating because they understand the science and they understand what people have eaten for thousands of years, and not what the unhealthy. Not what unhealthy people have eaten for thousands of years, but what healthy, long-lived populations have eaten. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Kirsten, you're so funny. Well, I don't know if I said any jokes, but thank you. My mom stopped in and said, our mom and dad and Grace, or mom and dad are tuned in. Good. Well, thank you. Debbie, I'm 66 and have lost 57 pounds in 6 months eating this way. It works, Debbie. That is awesome to hear. You are doing it right, and proud of you. Cheering you on. Keep up the good work. Rita, question. I'm an emotional eater, and I eat when I am not hungry. Do I need to watch calories in this? Yes. Okay, but so emotional eating, right? If you're someone who, it could mean a bunch of different things, but I'm not saying this is your take on it, but say you're just someone who's a bored eater, someone who gets bored and they eat. You might sit down on TV, you get bored, and you come home from work. I'm not saying this is your exact situation, and you go, and even if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, a healthy whole food plant-based diet, what I do find is a lot of people go, if you're a bored eater, emotional eater, you go for the foods that you go for the foods that are the foods that you should just be eating in moderation and small quantities on a whole food plant-based diet, like nuts, seeds, avocados, right? Fourth of an avocado on a salad or on a burger, a bean burger, great. Some nuts that have been blended to make a plant-based milk that you're going to put in your oatmeal or put in your ice cream in a cup or a half a cup, a fourth of a cup. But instead, if you're eating handfuls and handfuls, are not a good option. Same thing with seeds. Those are just, those aren't the way they should be consumed. So if that's the type of eater you are, I would recommend very much that you have the simple starchy staples cooked and ready to go all times, because I find that the only time that I really want to eat a potato, rice, beans, corn, quinoa, oats is when I'm hungry and ready to have a good meal. And when I'm hungry and ready to have a good meal, I've got my simple starchy staples cooked and ready to go in my fridge. I've got baked potatoes in the fridge. Actually, I don't. I've got baked potatoes soaking in the sink right now in some baking soda and apple cider vinegar that are getting ready to go in the oven, and then I'll have them in my fridge. But I do have cooked brown rice. We do have cooked beans. So when I'm hungry, I'm ready to go. I'm just going to warm up. I'm just going to throw them in the oven or put them on the stovetop and cook up my meal of simple starchy staples real quickly. Even, if I'm bored, that seems, even grabbing a sweet potato or baked potato, it seems like a bit. Or grabbing fruit, right? You don't hear too many people say, I'm an emotional eater, or I'm a person who just is a snacker, and I just eat way too many bananas. I eat way too many potatoes. I eat way too many sweet potatoes. Normally they're going for the vegan snack foods. I'm not saying this is your case, but I'm saying they'll go for those, or they'll go for nuts, seeds, avocado, things like that, or breads or pastas, which can, of course, be a part of a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet. But if you've just got a loaf of bread sitting around and it's gone in 6 minutes because you got bored or was emotional eating, that's something probably not having the house. With that being said, if you are overeating or overindulging in the simple starchy staples, say you're someone trying to lose weight and you're an emotional eater and you've got sweet potatoes around and you eat 10 sweet potatoes, okay, then maybe we look at some healthier options for snacking. I love having frozen vegetables in the freezer. It's not something we build our diet around, but we always have some frozen vegetables in a meal just because they add so much taste and flavor and color. So maybe you have some frozen broccoli in the fridge. Maybe you have some frozen Brussels, some frozen beans, some frozen peas that you can warm up in the microwave. You can throw them on the stovetop, throw them in a steamer basket, and you have those ready to go that are just, high fiber. They're going to fill you up, and they're not going to be extra calories if that is your problem. But I will say, for let's say 95, 97% of people here on a plant-based diet, if you do have a problem snacking, if you are an emotional eater, if you are someone who sits down, gets bored, and eats a ton of extra food or calories, I don't see it happening for people eating baked potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, beans, corn, quinoa, oats. I do see it happening with nuts, seeds, avocados, junk foods, things like that. So with that being said, or have some fruit around. Fruit's always a great option. It's full of fiber, full of water. Have some sweet potatoes, have some baked potatoes. I hope that helps. With not the full story there, it's tough, but I hope that was helpful. All right, let's see here. Kirsten, but I like sauce. Have you got a sauce which isn't so naughty? I'm not sure which sauce you're talking about, but I will say this. We eat a whole food plant-based, a starch-based diet that when we cook is SOS, right? It's salt, oil, and sugar-free. But when we eat things, we have sauces that may have some salt and they may have some sugar in there. Sriracha might have both, and I might like sriracha. Barbecue sauce, barbecue sauce, you got to watch out. There's some that are really bad, but there are some a little bit better. But again, if you're eating a simple starch-based diet built around simple starchy staples, and you have to put some barbecue sauce on a baked potato, you're going to be all right. If you have to put some if you have to buy an Asian sauce at the grocery store and to put on your rice, or to put on your rice and vegetables for dinner to make it edible for you as you get going, that's fine. Make sure it's oil-free. Try to get one that's not the first ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, and so there's some different things about there, but we do enjoy sauces. So I'm not telling you not to eat sauces. I'm telling you to use sauces if you'd prefer on your simple starchy staples. Let's see here, Lauren. Making bean balls and zucchini spiral spaghetti as we speak, topped with garden fresh cherry tomatoes and fresh basil. That sounds so amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Made me a little hungry. Michelle, what if you don't want to lose weight, so you just want to be healthy but have high cholesterol? Okay. You eat simple starchy staples. So those with high cholesterol on a plant-based diet, a low-fat, oil-free plant-based diet, a whole plant-based diet, especially a starch-based diet, you can see. And if you want to shoot me a message, I can send you over some of the research and some of the papers that even doctors like Dr. Bernard have put out, showing that those with high cholesterol, those with type 2 diabetes, those with high blood pressure, you put them on a simple starchy diet, a diet built around the simple starchy staples, and the symptoms, you have to let your doctors know this, because your cholesterol, your blood pressure can go down so quickly that you can be there can be a problem, because the medication is lowering an already low or great level. So you just got to be careful with that. I know Dr. McDougall talks about that a lot at his live-in clinics. A 3-day stay, he'll have to watch his patients that are on some of those medications, because the levels will drop so quickly that it can be harmful. You'd stand up and you just fall on the ground because your levels are dropping so quickly from the diet and then you're on the medication. So for you, Michelle, I would say, start eating the simple a starch-based diet, a healthy whole food plant-based diet built around the simple starchy staples. And if you're already at a healthy body weight, great. This is the diet that people have eaten for thousands of years, that were born eating this way and ate this way throughout their life at a healthy body weight. And you'll notice those numbers. I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm not going to prescribe you anything. But yes, you should see benefit there. Sherry, how do you get over the mental part of eating so many carb starches when coming off of a low carb diet? Well, that's a good question, Sherry. One that not a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people ask, but it's not talked about a lot. Because for my whole life, my mom's whole life, sure for many of your whole lives, you've been told, you sit down and you're eating, an animal, some sort of an animal-based diet, but of course you have the carbohydrates there. But then you're kind of shamed in the fact of saying, "Oh, you're going to eat that baked potato. Oh, you're going to eat that rice. You're not going to eat that rice, are you? That rice. Oh, this rice is making me fat." As you've got, 2 pork chops, a steak, and 3 eggs on your plate. But oh my God, that potatoes, that's what's going to do me in. So we've all been lied to about that. That's common knowledge, and there's a fly in here, but animal agriculture industry has done quite a bit of lobbying, quite a bit of lying, and quite a bit of just pretty much terrible behavior in telling you that carbohydrates are the enemy. And now there's doctors, there's experts, there's gurus out there that are going to continue telling you that they're the enemy. But here's the deal. I guess for me, it was to say, well, I was fat, sick, overweight, 100 pounds overweight. And I was eating a low carb diet. Carbs weren't, if carbs were making me fat, well, then when I cut them out and I was still getting fat and I was still fat and sick, well, what the heck? So why don't we try just eating those carbohydrates and see how it goes? Because, and luckily that's what people have been eating for, again, these people populations have been eating this for thousands of years. And we've got people in populations here, myself, Dr. Miller, my mom, my dad, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and many of you who are eating this way. So how do you get over it? I think you just realize that what you've been told about them have been a lie. Now, of course, people who say white sugar, Coke, Pepsi, pop and white bread, things like that aren't healthy. Well, of course, those things aren't healthy. We're talking about eating complex carbohydrates, the simple starchy staples: rice, bean, corn, quinoa, oats, potatoes, and sweet potatoes. Let's see here. Michelle asked, how is Dr. Miller today? Dr. Miller is feeling great. We were just talking. It's funny. We're going to do a video, or we'll do something real soon about it, but talking about how she, she's just about to get on her 3rd trimester. And, I make all the food pretty much, and we eat the simple starchy staples, a starch-based diet, and we also just keep track of her weight, make sure she's not gaining too much weight. A lot of people would say, well, hopefully she's not. Well, most people who are in that situation gain a lot of weight and have to fight to keep it off for a long time to get rid of it. But I would say this: Dr. Miller is 6 pounds heavier than she was before she was pregnant, and just getting into her 3rd trimester, that's an okay number there. She should stay right around there, maybe put on a little bit more, but slowly and healthfully, and keeping a trim body weight. So she's doing great, feeling good, no morning sickness, nothing really along there. She's just having a little bit of trouble getting in of the car because of her baby now. So I kind of give her a little bit of a push out the car. That's my thing. Let's see here. Douglas, how long have you kept your weight off? Are you maintaining your ideal weight? It's been a couple years now, Douglas. I've maintained my ideal body weight. And I will say this: the ideal body weight somewhat changes a little bit. If for this past winter, I was going to the gym a little bit. I lost the weight, kept it off for about a year, and then, went to the gym, started working out a little bit, put on a little bit more muscle. So put on a little bit of muscle weight, staying trim, of course. And then I got a bicycle, a road bike, this summer. And so, this summer. And so I've been riding the bike a little bit and kind of maybe lost a little bit of that muscle because I like I like getting on the road and riding the old bicycle. But yes, I've kept the weight off for a couple of years, and there's many people who have one thing is you might worry people coming from a fad diet or just the dieting culture of saying, wow, I starved myself, I cut out the carbs, I cut out whatever, and I just ate vegetable soup. And I lost 20 pounds, but I'm just, but then you're worried, you're worried that you're just going to gain it back because you're going to gain it back. In the past you gained it back, and in the future you're going to gain it back because you can't sustain some sort of fad diet. The great thing, especially for people coming from a diet culture, a diet, background that you've spent your whole life dieting, is that this way of eating, the same way of eating that helped you lose weight, which is enjoyable. It's full of satiety. You're satisfied after your meal. I don't know how many people can sit down and have a baked potato with steamed broccoli, plant-based chili on there, and say, I'm not satisfied after that, right? It's filling, it's satisfying. And then luckily, the exact same foods that are going to help you lose the weight are the same foods that help you keep it, because what your body does when you put the right foods in, which are these simple starchy staples on a starch-based diet, what your body does is it finds that good level, we'll say homeostasis, and it finds that healthy body weight, and then you're just going to stay there, just like, again, people populations have done for very long times. Let's see here. Jane, what are your views on alcohol consumption? Well, Jane, it is not a health food, and it's not something you should try to maximize. We'll leave it at that. It's not something that if you're trying to lose weight is going to be beneficial. It's not necessarily something that if you're trying to live an extremely long time is going to be beneficial. It may be something that you enjoy occasionally, just like you may enjoy an occasional celebratory meal at a vegan restaurant that might be some oil in there. Might be some processed vegan junk food in there, but you're not going to build your diet around it, and you're not going to eat it 7 days a week. That's my take on it. Let's see here. Lisa says, as we get older, our metabolism slows, so it takes longer, but it is overall health. I'm 52, almost 53, and I've lost 109 pounds in 10 months. That is great to hear. Cheering you on, Lisa. Nice work. Tanya, how do you deal with temptation? I live in a house with meat, cheese, and chip eaters. I do cook dinner for everyone and make most plant-based and add meat for them, but I struggle because temptation food is all around me at all times. Well, that's a tough spot to be in. I actually, in my new book coming out, I have a section about this very topic, and here's my take on it. The kind of the simplified, my hat's bothering me. It looks like it's crooked. The kind of Cliff Note version. Here it is. If you're in a household, first of all, it does make it easier if everybody's eating plant-based. We'll just say it. In an ideal world, everybody in your house would be eating a plant-based, healthy vegan diet, and you wouldn't have meat, milk, eggs, junk food all around, right? Best case scenario. That's not what's happening in your situation. That's not happening in many situations. But here is what's happening is you are trying to better your health, and you are trying to be that example that hopefully your husband and your children, right, that said, a house, you didn't say husband or children. Your family, we'll just say your family, and I'm going from what I've seen in many other families, is you've got the cook, and that might be mom, that might be dad, but is cooking every meal, but then you've got husband or wife and children that are complaining that there's not meat, milk, or junk food in the diet, and that can be a tricky spot to be in. My first recommendation is that you need to, number one, the only way you can change anybody, I believe, and change their health for the better is, number one, you've got to love them. Number two, you've got to lead them. Now, I talk about this a lot. This is how I've been able to help my family adopt this way of eating, help my mother and father-in-law, and help so many others get on this way of eating, and we can all, join in and get together on it. But here it is, you've got to love them and lead them. So, of course, you're going to love the people that you're living with, hopefully, and then you've got to lead them. So if you're just now getting onto this way of eating and you say, hey, I'm cutting out all the meat, I'm just going to eat a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet, and it's going to make me healthy, I'm going to get off medications, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to live long, and you've only been doing that for 3 days, it's probably not going to have a whole lot of clout there. But if you do that for 6 months and they see that you're off medication, they see that you're losing weight, they see that you're feeling better, your skin is improving, they see these things, well, then you've got a lot more going with you. And you've, even if you want to get to the point where you say, I'm cutting out it all, we're eating a whole food plant-based diet, and they can see that for 6 months you've been eating healthfully and you are doing better, well, then maybe you'd have a little bit more backing there. But if that's not the case, as the simplest form is this: you cook simple starchy staples, you cook the healthy foods, and if you've got to cook the other foods, which I will say many others do this, but they get to a point. It seems like everybody gets to the point where they say, I'm done cooking the meat, I'm done putting cheese, I'm done buying cheese, I'm done cooking eggs, I'm done cooking sausage, because I don't want to, here it is. When you realize, and when you realize deep down that if you're cooking as someone who cooks, is the main cook in the household, when you're cooking for people and you know that that sausage, you know that that bacon, you know that that eggs, you know that that milk are all causing cancer, you know they're all, they're all negatively impacting your loved one's health, you get to the point where you say, I'm done with it. I'm not cooking it anymore. You want to get it, you can go buy it, you can make it, or you can, you just eat what I'm cooking. A lot of people get to that point. Sounds like you're not at that point yet, which is kind of a tricky spot. Here it is. You cook the simple starchy staples. If you're going to cook other foods that aren't whole food plant-based, you cook them separately. You eat your simple starchy staples, and you can let them put on whatever they want on there. But at a point, I think everybody gets to the place where they realize that what they're cooking for their loved ones is killing them, and it's killing you. It was killing me. It was putting weight on me, and I'm not putting that in someone else. I'm not voluntarily killing someone ever again by the food that I'm fixing for them. And so that's something that's a transition, right? That's not something you're just going to tell them probably right away, but that's something that you work towards. And then you also, talk about this leading. You love these people, you're leading them. Here's a great way to lead them, is to cook really tasty foods, but a healthy, whole food, plant-based manner. So maybe your husband, maybe your wife, they love chili, but they only want that chili that's got ground beef and all the, oil and, butter and whatever they want to put in it that's killing them. Well, here's the thing. You cook the best plant-based, vegan chili, healthy chili that you could come up with, or that you find, and you say, this is what we're having. And guess what? They'll get used to it. They'll enjoy it. Same thing with many other recipes. Pancakes. I just made some waffles this morning, completely whole food plant-based, just 3 ingredients. Dr. Miller really liked them. But yeah, so there's a tough answer in a tough situation, but one that I'm sure you will. But I didn't even really, I'm sorry, Tanya, I really didn't even hit that. How do you deal with it? The best way is to cut it all out. But secondly, is to understand that those foods are what got you to the point of realizing that, whatever got you to eating a whole food plant-based diet, whatever got you to eating a healthy vegan diet, those foods are the ones that got you there. So if they got you overweight, they put you on all that medication, I don't want to go back to those foods. Those foods aren't the ones that are tempting me anymore. The foods that I want are the ones that are continually improving my health, continually helping me to reach that level of physical, mental, emotional health that I've always wanted. But those temptation foods have led me in the other direction. So that's my take on it. Let's see here. Sam, I'm age 66 and I'm still losing weight. I started at 305 and just weighed in at 268. That is awesome, Sam. You put a big old smile on my face. Congratulations. This loss over the last year and a half, it is better to lose slower than faster. The faster you lose, the more loose skin you end up with. Yeah, I would never tell someone to, you eat a starch-based diet built around the simple starchy staples: rice, beans, corn, potatoes, oats, quinoa, sweet potatoes, and you build your diet around it. You fill up, you eat until you're full, and then you might lose quicker, you might lose slower, but you lose at a good rate. The key is you're not starving yourself, and you're not trying to lose 200 pounds in 20 days by drinking this detox smoothie, right? You've probably heard it and seen it and been tried to buy that snake oil. So good job, Sam. I'm cheering you on. That's amazing. Rita, won't all the starch affect fatty liver? Rita, I would ask you, why don't you shoot me a message, and I will, since I'm not a medical practitioner, let's shoot me a message and I'll point you in the right direction, an article or a good talk about that very topic. But let's just say this, that it would be helpful. It would definitely be helpful. The starches. Let's see here. Michelle, weight hates me always. Slim, not my issue. High cholesterol. Yes, Michelle. The starches are definitely going to help you in that. Just my father-in-law, just as a quick example, right? He got on his cholesterol. This was all around the time that my mother-in-law had breast cancer, and then she adopted a whole food plant-based diet, got off of, her pills and medications. And my father-in-law around that same time was told, he was at the doctor realizing that he had high cholesterol. The doctors are saying, he's asking, he sees that, I'm eating this way, that his wife's eating this way. And this was kind of right before I think she was eating this way. And, he's they call us out. We talk to him all the time, or, we were back in Indiana visiting, and he's like, doctor said it's all genetics. My dad's got high cholesterol. Brother's got high cholesterol. His dad's got, everybody's got high cholesterol, and it's just all genetic. And, and I'm just sitting there saying, I know I've read the research. I've heard, all the talks from Dr. McDougall, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Campbell, and I'm like, just, it wasn't the right exact time to say, no, it's just what you're eating. But luckily around that time when my mother-in-law had began eating this way to reverse her, to get off her chemotherapy pills pretty much. And my father-in-law starts eating this way. And sure enough, he got off his cholesterol medication. We'll just say that by eating this starch-based diet, the simple starchy staples. He, as much as his doctor was telling him it was all genetics, it was all hereditary. This is what his doctor said to a T. His doctor said, "Oh, you could waste your time trying to eat a better diet, but you're only going to change your numbers by 2 points." That's what his doctor told him. His doctor told him, do whatever you want, but you're only going to change it 2 points by diet. Couple months on a plant-based diet, a starch-based diet, off the medication, and healthy numbers on his cholesterol. So Michelle, cheering you on there. Renee, how old are you? Well, Renee, I will be 25 in, what's today's date? In 5 days. So there you go, everybody. My birthday in 5 days, September 27th. Don't forget. Michelle, I'm plant-based 6 months. Michelle, that is great to hear. No oil, period. Okay, it sounds like, Michelle, that you're trying to convince yourself there. Yes, cut out the oils. Let's see, Christy and David, coconut oil is supposed to be good for the brain? Question mark, no, question mark. No, so sure, you've probably heard the MCT oil, or the, this it's really just craziness. People weren't digesting or ingesting boatloads of coconut oil before the Alzheimer's epidemic. Populations haven't been, people who live hundreds of years in these blue zones who eat a starch-based diet haven't lived into their hundreds because they're putting coconut oil on everything. No, coconut oil is just as unhealthy for you as olive oil, is just as unhealthy for you as corn oil, is just as unhealthy for you as linseed oil, is just as unhealthy for you as lard is just as unhealthy for you as ghee is just as unhealthy as butter is. Yes, they're all 100% fat, and do not do the body or brain good. Okay, but Christy and David, I don't want to just leave you with that. Here's what I will tell you. Dean and Aisha Scherze wrote The Alzheimer's Solution. It is a fantastic book, a wonderful book. It's actually one of the resources in my book that's coming out. If you are looking at brain health, you have Alzheimer's in your family history, you've got, any sort of cognitive, problems in your family, or you're just worried about it in general, you want better brain function, please, these are the leading experts in the field, and they both came together, their husband and wife, but they came together, wrote a book about the wonders of a plant-based diet on those who maybe have a disposition for Alzheimer's, maybe have the first signs, and just how it can help. And for those that don't ever even want to get anywhere close to it, I would highly recommend that book. Yes. Michelle, but what's good for protein? All right, Michelle, someone probably see pictures I post, right? I eat my food, and I've got my, my muscle in there. It's kind of funny, but, and you look at guys, the Game Changers just came out. Unfortunately, the Game Changers, great film, but many of those people are pretty much the endorsements for isolated protein powders, like pea protein and stuff, and you don't need it. Here's the deal. You will get, Michelle, on a starch-based diet, on a healthy vegan, a healthy whole food plant-based diet, you will get all the protein you need from simple starches and the whole foods that you're eating, as long as you're eating enough calories. Someone like you, Michelle, who's already said that you're at a healthy body weight, we'll just say you're a 5'8" female and you weigh 135 pounds. I don't know how much you weigh. I don't know how tall you are. We'll just say that and say you might need 1,600 to 1,800 calories in a day, depending on your physical activity level. Please don't take that for face value. Don't try to eat this much or don't try to cut it. This is an example. If you need 1,800 calories a day, if you eat those 1,800 calories from whole plant foods, from simple starchy staples like rice, bean, corn, potatoes, oats, quinoa, sweet potatoes, you're going to get more than enough protein, and you can do the math. If you need 1,800 calories and you eat 500 calories of sweet potatoes, 500 calories of oats, 500 calories of rice, brown rice, and then you also have some kale or some broccoli or some Brussels or some some legumes, you're going to be just fine. Most people, you only need here's the deal. I got this exact same question in the talk I was doing at the Veg Fest. There's not been one recorded person who has been deficient in protein in the United States of America, barring that they've eaten enough calories. Now, if you starve yourself and you eat 200 calories a day for the next 8 months, you will be protein deficient, you'll be carbohydrate deficient, you'll be fat deficient, you'll be vitamin and mineral deficient, you will be deficient as deficient can be. But if you're eating enough calories, you're going to get more than enough protein. Here's the thing. You're going to hear it. If you're just now getting on this way of eating, you're just now starting this, where do you get your protein? Well, America and the world around us is the most protein overfed population or period of time in history. We eat way too much protein, Even people eating a plant-based diet eat more than enough protein, but especially those eating a standard American diet and an animal-based diet eat way too much protein, hard on many of the internal organs, especially the colon, if you talk about processed meats or dairies. And, here's the deal. But 97, that means over 9 out of 10 people eat too little fiber. So when next time you hear, right, but here's the deal. You eat a starch-based diet built around simple starchy staples. Fiber is not your problem. You're going to get more than enough fiber. You're going to be in that 3% of people. You're going to get just enough protein, you're going to get perfect amount. You don't need to take protein supplements. You don't need to take protein powders or potions or, elixirs. You just eat the whole plant foods in a state that's as natural as possible, like a sweet potato that's been baked or a baked potato or rice that's been steamed or oats or quinoa. And you eat those foods, you're going to be just fine. All right. Let's see here. Roxana, my husband uses coconut spray cooking oil. Is zero fat? It is zero fat. Is that bad? All right, Roxana, I want you to pull out. This is also in the book. I want you to pull out that cooking spray, and I want you to read me the ingredient list, because it says. And here's what I want you to look up on YouTube. Just type it in the internet or YouTube. Type in cooking spray, Jeff Novak cooking spray, or cooking oil. They're the first and only ingredient in many cooking sprays is oil. Now, there may be a few other aerosol ingredients, but the number one main ingredient in cooking spray is oil. And oil, as we'll all just kind of do a quick lesson here, is 100% fat. Here's the deal. You talk about reading what you should read when you buy a food or packaged food. You should read the ingredients list and not the nutrition facts. The nutrition label you might read afterwards, but you read the ingredient list, because guess what the ingredient list is for that coconut oil cooking spray? It is coconut oil as the first and main ingredient. And if you type in what percentage of coconut oil is fat, it is 100% fat. 100% of the calories are coming from fat. But how does the food industry get to put 0% fat, 0 calories on their cooking spray canister? And here's exactly how they do it. Because if you look at the serving size, it's 1/3 or 1/4 of a second. Now, again, I'd watch that video by Jeff Novak, but do you know how long 1/4 of a 1/3 of a second is? It's this. Now, how many people, when spraying cooking spray on a pan, do this. They don't. They do this. And then they flip it. 100% fat. 100% fat. It is 0-calorie coconut oil cooking spray is the exact same as the coconut oil you buy in a jar, and it's 100% fat, and it's 100% bad for you. So yes, I'd cut it out. I'd really watch that. It's really good. Let's see here. It seems like there's some questions about the trans fat or saturated fats, and here's the deal. You want to lose weight, you want to reach your greatest health potential on a starch-based or a healthy whole food plant-based vegan diet, you cut out the oils. And guess what? It's going to be a lower fat. We hear about, fats and you've got to have this amount of fat, or, there's some vegan doctors who have even skewed some numbers and come out with some research saying that you need to take their supplement to reach this certain level of fat. Well, here's the deal. Just like protein, you get just enough that you need by eating a starch-based diet built around simple starchy staples, rice, bean, corn, potatoes, oats, quinoa. And guess what? That's going to be anywhere between about 10% to maybe 20% of calories from fat. If you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to be up there in that 20%. But as soon as you start adding a teaspoon or a tablespoon of oil in your diet, that 15, 20% of calories coming from fat, or 10%, goes all the way up to 30 or 40%. We don't want that. We don't want that. Let's see here. So do you not show the green starchy foods that you eat before your high carb recipes you share? Well, okay, that's a good question. So talking about losing weight, you eat a salad before. Yeah, I don't normally take a picture of a salad if we're eating a salad. But I have, and I will. But also I don't make a point right now. You reach a healthy body weight. Sometimes I just eat a few potatoes and some rice or some bean burgers. Yeah. So yes. So most of the time I just don't share it. Sometimes I just don't eat them. I'm just eating my starch-based diet. Robin, we're going to answer a few more questions here. Robin, I struggle. It doesn't matter what I eat or how much, the weight stays there, it goes up, but I still eat whole food plant. Robin, I would really, really, really focus on making sure I would cut out the high-fat foods, no nuts, seeds, or avocados. I would focus on building the diet around the starchy staples, the rice, bean, corn, potatoes, oats, quinoa, sweet potatoes, and then adding in, excuse you, bubbles, adding in some non-starchy vegetables. Have a salad before lunch and dinner, but don't put an oil-filled dressing on there. You have a salad before dinner, you make sure you've got a good, healthy, whole food, plant-based salad dressing. And I get asked a lot, where are some good recipes? Forks Over Knives is my favorite place. You go to forksoverknives.com. In the search bar, you type in dressing, and you'll get a lot of great whole food, plant-based, oil-free salad dressings there. Sheila, corn will make me happy. Yeah, corn is great. We love corn. All right. Sheila, what is your typical breakfast? Well, I'll tell you what Dr. Miller and myself's typical breakfast is. It is a bowl of oatmeal with some fruit and some dash of cinnamon and maybe some maple syrup on there. That's normally a good breakfast that we have. I've got a lot of different oatmeals. That could be steel-cut oats that I've cooked in my Instant Pot. That could be rolled oats that I've done on the stovetop, or that could be rolled oats that I've just soaked in boiling water out of the kettle. Got a lot of different recipes on plantbasedgabriel.com for oatmeals, but oatmeal is a great breakfast. Some people would say, but I can't do oatmeal. I hate oatmeal. Oatmeal's, well, then you could use the exact same recipes, less water or whatever, but and put, you could have sweet potatoes. You could have potatoes. Sometimes I'll just I've got cooked potatoes in my fridge, right, that are getting ready to be cooked. But so I always have them in my fridge, or on a Sunday afternoon like today, they're getting ready to be cooked and then going to my fridge. But I've got cooked baked potatoes, and I'll just chop them up into cubes, throw them in the oven or throw them in the air fryer, and throw some barbecue or ketchup on top, and that's ready to go. Rita and Lynn both are asking about the new book. I cannot disclose the name of the book yet. That is from my editors, but we will say it's about plant-based diet, and it's going to be very helpful for those just getting started. We'll leave it at that. And I will be out before Christmas. Sandra, is your recipe? I love your recipes, and this is very informative. I'm so glad to hear that, Sandra. I'm cheering you on. Art, starch-based cookbook? Well, let's say it will be very starch-based. Rhonda, why is olive oil bad? All right, well, we've kind of hit the oil here a bit, but here's the thing with oils, all oils. So olive oil is there's been research done, and I can send it over there too if you want to shoot me a message and want me to send it to you, but cold pressed olive oil acts the exact same in your body as expeller pressed olive oil, as corn oil, as soybean oil, as coconut oil, as any other oil. And how that acts is it's 100% fat. It's going to increase calories without doing anything for satiety, meaning that you could eat 3 baked potatoes, fill up, feel nice and full, good, healthy, starch-based food, meal. But if you were to drizzle 2 or 3 tablespoons of oil, add 300 or 400 calories extra of fat to that meal, you would eat the exact same amount in the exact same amount of time and feel the exact same amount of fullness to them. They don't add anything other than extra fat. And they don't do the body good. So if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to maintain a healthy body weight, and you're trying to, do those things long term, oils are not the food to be consuming, and it's not like peoples and populations have not lived off of starch-based diets that have been smothered in oil, and that's why they've lived long. No, they've lived off the starch-based diets, corn, potatoes, corn or maize in the case of the Aztecs. You've got sweet potatoes, rice, potatoes, and they've been eaten as close to their natural state as possible. Let's see here. Veronica, still live now. We should be still live. I hope it's still coming in live. Sandra, I am 69 years old, and I am no longer diabetic because of a plant-based diet. My husband refuses to go plant-based, period. It does make it hard on me, with the exception of breakfast that pretty much eats plant-based. Well, Sandra, I am so happy for you. I'm cheering you on. Well, guess what, Sandra? Just, it might take a year. It might take 3 years, 4 years. You love them and you lead them, and you show just how healthful you are and just how this way of eating, it does so much good for the body. It's only a matter of time, and hopefully it's not because something bad happens. But guess what? If a health scare comes up, you'll know exactly the right fix, and he'll know right where to turn. So there you go. But cheering you on, Sandra, that's impressive. Rhonda, coffee. I don't drink it. I don't recommend it. It's definitely not something you should start if you aren't, but it's not necessarily something that you have to give up as you get right onto a starch-based or a plant-based diet, but definitely not something you would adopt right away. Dr. McDougall doesn't recommend it. Plant-based, it's just not a health food. It's really, I know Dr. McDougall says this, but it's really the only legal drug that people have left that's culturally acceptable, right? Everybody fills up on, they get high on their coffee in the morning, and they go to work and have another hit, and then maybe after they get home from work they have one more hit. And but again, if you're getting on a starch-based diet, you're getting on a plant-based diet, you're getting on a healthy whole food plant-based diet, don't not do it because you can't give up coffee. Let that happen over time. And many people don't give it up, and they still experience many, it's not like it's not something you want to start right away. It's not something you want to start if you're not drinking it already. Care, love the background. Thank you, Care. You guys enjoy the new background here. I think it looks pretty nice. Rhonda, any fruit or veggies not okay? Well, if you're trying to lose weight and foods that, there are some higher fat fruits and fruits, especially, talk about an avocado. You're not going to build a diet around it, and it's not something that you're going to want to eat a ton of, or really something you could exclude while you're trying to lose weight and see good benefits from that. Kathy, what about omega-3? What do you need omega-3 for brain health? Well, Kathy, you need a lot of things for brain health. It just so happens that some people, some organizations, and some businesses make billions and billions of dollars from telling you that you need a certain amount of omega-3 for brain health. You just need to pay them, $17, $20 a month for the rest of your life. But if we look at these populations that have lived for long times, they're getting all healthy and essential fatty acids from their diet. And yes, it may be in smaller quantities, but it is what the body needs in the right amount. So no, it's not something that you should supplement with, and not something I supplement with or recommend. I hope that helps. Inga, Great job, Gabriel. I enjoyed following your post and recipe. Thank you so much. Steve is here. Thanks for joining in, Steve. Leela, what sweeteners do you use? I use maple syrup, especially for breakfast style things. And then fruit, fruit as well. But maple syrup, if many of you know this, if you follow my recipes, you'll know that if I'm going to sweeten something, I'll use maple syrup, and for a couple reasons. One, there's been a little bit of research out there. It's not something you should build your diet around, and it's not something that you have to have. 100%. If you want to cut out all maple syrup, all sweetened, things, cut them all out. That's fine. You don't need them. It's not, but a little bit of maple syrup can help help bring something out really a lot. I like it in different dishes. I like it in breakfast dishes, of course, on my oatmeal, but I also put it in some curries to sweeten it. One thing I do like about maple syrup compared to other sweeteners is it's very sweet. Now, that is a silly thing to say, but it is very sweet for a little bit amount. Like, you don't need to use a ton to get that sweetness up. Whereas some sweeteners, I'm trying to some sweeteners just don't have as much sweetness to them. They're just sugar. They don't add that sweetness, and so you have to use a lot more. So I like maple syrup as a way to do that. Not something necessary though. Reed, thanks for tuning in, Reed. Glad to see you here. Tips for athletes, high activity people who need higher protein intake. Reed, one thing I will say is that if you're someone who's a high activity person, it's not protein that you need more of, it's calories that you need more of. And if you're eating and that's of course against contrary to, I'm sure, what many people are telling. But if you look at it from the standpoint of, saying a high athlete, we'll say someone who's even a triathlete, someone who's burning thousands and thousands of extra calories a day, it's not the protein that they're needing to add back into their diet in massive quantities, because again, that is super hard on you talk about hard on your system. Is you start putting in protein powders and potions in your system. Not only does it upset your stomach, but it's tough. But here's the deal on it. You need the extra calories. And so say you're burning an extra 800 to 1,200 calories a day. I don't know exactly how much you're burning, Reed. But I will say this. You get 1,200 extra calories from rice, beans, corn, potatoes, oats, quinoa, fruits and vegetables added in there. And you get those calories in, guess what? Your protein's going to go up. The fat's going to go up. It's not going to be a ton of fat or a ton of protein, but it's going to be in the right quantity. And that is really what I like to focus on there, because, man, you talk about, and so if you're someone who's burning a ton of calories, need a way to add in extra calories, well, you could of course do, you could have some sort of smoothie, or but with whole food sources, some fruits, some vegetables in there, some plant milk, without the added protein potions and powders and really the gimmicks there. But some people might say, well, my favorite vegan athlete recommends I take a protein powder. Well, I know firsthand of many, and I know many personally, is that do, and it is what it is, and they're not a bad person for it, but maybe they are. Many of these high-level athletes, or these vegan athletes, recommend these protein powders because it's their largest source of income, people. They get paid quite a bit if you buy their protein powder, and many of them only use it when they're on camera because it upsets their stomach so much. Just the thing with whey protein. I mean, you talk about thinking back about my college football days, and Reed, I know you played, and you talk about, you don't feel that, it's sugary and you feel kind of like, but man, 30 minutes after taking a big protein shake after a workout, man, I just sit back and you just don't feel that great. But feel good after having a few extra cups of rice or potatoes or sweet potatoes. So I would not focus on bumping up the protein. I would focus on bumping up the calories, which in turn is going to bump up the protein, the carbohydrates, the fat, the minerals, the vitamins, and not just bump up an isolated source of calories from a specific macronutrient. Larry. Yeah, Larry, you're right on there. I think Larry's going back to the question about someone whose doctors are not recommending they get on a plant-based or vegan diet. Yeah, they might see the bad parts, the people eating potato chips, and Ooh. All right. There we go. Sorry, the sun's like changing, the camera's changing, and then the light is staying the same, nice and bright. All right, Celeste, 1, 2, 3 dressing. Yes, that is a great dressing. I think it was Ann Esselstyn who is the original author of that. But I like, the 3, 2, 1 dressings is you've got mustard, you've got maple syrup, you've got balsamic vinegar. Now, in their recipe, they use 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, I'm pretty sure, 2 tablespoons of mustard, and 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. How I like to do it, if I'm going to make it for Dr. Miller and myself, is 3 tablespoons of balsamic, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and 1 tablespoon of mustard. That's just how we like it. Change it up as much as you'd like. I probably wouldn't do 3 tablespoons of the mustard or maple syrup, though. There you go. Thanks for answering my question. Yeah, shoot me a message there, kind of, and just remind me of the question when you get on there. But yes, Jennifer just joining. Jennifer, we're going to be just, you can go back to see the questions. You can start the live stream again here in a few minutes, but thanks for tuning in. Now, I was just asking myself, how do I get started? I have a tendency to get overwhelmed with info, which is good, but I want basic to get established. Thanks for the info. You're very welcome. This should be a good place to kind of get rolling with it. It's very simple. Just to reiterate here, I'm going to answer probably 2 or 3 more questions, and then there's some some football on, and the sun just went down a little bit. I think if I go for a nice bike ride, enjoy the smell of fall. But here's the deal. Yes, now you talk about simplistic, a starch-based diet built around simple starchy staples: rice, bean, corn, potatoes, oats, quinoa, sweet potatoes. These are foods that people have eaten for thousands of years. You don't need the FDA to tell you a sweet potato is generally recognized as, edible. People have been eating them for thousands of years, and they're health promoting foods. You cut out the oil, you cut out the animal products, and you build a diet around simple starchy staples, and then you add in some fruits and vegetables. Right on track. It doesn't get any simpler than that. And you can do recipes, of course. I have a ton of recipes out there. That's kind of the plant-based Gabriel day, all these recipes built around the starches, but you don't have to use any of the recipes. You don't have to buy a cookbook. If you just like steamed green beans on a nice baked sweet potato, or some broccoli and salsa on a baked potato, and you can eat that for the rest of your life, eat it for the rest of your life. Have at it. Gabby, hi, my name is Susan, and I have type 2 diabetes. I have not started a starch-based diet because I am on a full fast with my doctor, but I will starting soon, so I have been getting ready to start. My A1C has come down from 10.1 to 5.1. I'm getting sort of service because I will start eating soon. Thank you for your videos and posts. I hope to be successful with this type. Well, Gabby, yes, so I don't know who is medically supervising your fast, but sounds like you're doing it good. You've got, I'm sure it sounds like it's a bit of probably a water fast, so of course your numbers are going to drop on that, but you're going to get on a plant-based diet, you get on the starch-based diet, you keep it simple, you find what you like, you stick with it, and then you can change it up as much as you like. I mean, I'm not telling you just eat baked potatoes and sweet potatoes for the rest of your life, but you find the foods that you enjoy, and you stick with them. All right, here we go. Larry, I noticed your recipes have 0 salt except for the occasional cocoa aminos. Have you found working out with 0 salt after 3 to 4 weeks getting slightly weak and needing to add a bit of salt in? Larry, the reason, so you're talking about working out, I'm sure working out heavily, and then the question of should you add, do you need salt to build up your electrolytes? And, here's the thing, I'll just say this. Here's why I don't add salt in my recipes. It's because I can never tell you how much salt you need or that you should use, because some people don't need to use salt. Some people don't like to use salt. Some people's doctors told them to cut out salt. And you shouldn't put, and here's the deal, you shouldn't put salt when you're making a recipe is my thing, because you don't taste it. Have you ever made a recipe with 2 teaspoons of salt in the recipe, and then you put it on your plate and you say, ugh, that needs some salt? Of course you have. Everybody has. And all you need is to take your salt shaker and just sprinkle on a little bit of salt, and it creates a little layer at the top where you take a bite and you get a little hit of salt that hits your taste buds, and you say, that's salty. And you just used 1/100th of the amount of salt that you would have had you put 2 teaspoons in a recipe. So that's why I don't use salt. Of course I use sauces. Of course we'll put some salt on the top layer of our foods. Working out wise, no, I don't. I haven't found an issue with needing extra salt. I mean, I guess you could say that maybe I self-regulate because I might sprinkle a little bit more on or use a little bit more sauce if my body was feeling depleted on salt, but I haven't found that to be really an issue. You can always, of course, add in a little bit more salt. Really, the key is I'm not putting salt in the recipes because I'm not giving you a recommendation for salt. Salt's not a health food. It's not something that you need to maximize or try to add a ton into your diet or even add into your diet. It is something that you can use, something that will flavor your food, something that will make it more enjoyable, help the satiety of the food, but it's not something I'm going to give a recommendation for the amount to use just because it's not considered, it's not a health food. So, Kathy, brand of maple syrup that you use? I don't use a specific brand. I would say if you can look for there's organic maple syrups or, you're not using a ton of it. That's the thing with some of these, maple syrup. You're not using a ton of maple syrup. You're using a little bit here or there, a tablespoon here or there. So, you can get a little nicer brand and, don't go through it in a week. That would be my take on it. I don't have a recommended brand for that. Sorry about that. Kelly said, last question. How is Dr. Miller? All right, if you're tuned in here and you didn't hear at the start, Dr. Miller is doing great. She's just about to jump into her third trimester. Back up a little bit. The light's kind of blinding me. She's just about to jump into her third trimester, doing amazingly. We talked a little, she's eating a starch-based diet. She's building, I do most of the cooking, but she's eating a diet built around the simple starchy staples: rice, bean, corn, potatoes, oats, quinoa. She was already at, she's, eating this way for a couple of years now. She's at a trim body weight, a healthy body weight. And she's put on 6 pounds through just now getting into her third trimester, which is a good amount. I don't want, that's kind of right around there. It's doing good. She's doing good. No problems there, no nausea or anything. It's, she's putting the right things in her body, the right foods, and she's feeling good. She's doing good. Baby's doing good, kicking it's funny now because her stomach's bigger now, and her stomach's pretty tight, and so you can see when baby punches her stomach or kicks her stomach, there's a big boop, boop, and it's kind of funny to see. But that's for today, everybody. Thank you all for Mary. When does the book come out? Expect it before Christmas. I haven't been able to. My editors will be kind of giving me the go ahead to kind of give more info on that very soon. But that's for today's live stream. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. What a great talk. If you have any more questions, please send me a message to Plant-Based Gabriel or on Plant-Based Gabriel here on Instagram at Plant-Based Gabriel. Expect a few days or, I can't get, there's a lot of messages that come in. So let's see if Bubbles wants to say goodbye. And if you keep it simple starchy staples: rice, bean, corn, potatoes, oats, quinoa, and sweet potatoes. That's what Bubbles, let's see here. Let's get you on camera first. Now, what is your favorite simple starchy staple? Oh, it's sweet potatoes for sure. I will steam sweet potatoes, and if it looks like she's dead, it's because she kind of always looks like this, huh? Wake up for the camera. This is her high alert. But sweet potatoes, if I steam them, the skin it cooks really nicely. It gets nice and sweet, but they get a bit slimy, and so I'll pull the skin off, and her and Bella get to fight it out to see who. Oh, there you go. Their eyes are moving. She's alive. She loves sweet potatoes. I gave up some bananas. I was peeling ripe bananas for ice cream, and I kind of got carried away. I was peeling real quick, cutting off kind of the parts that might have gotten a little bit, a little too ripe, throwing them down there, catching them up. And sooner or later, I think I threw down 3 or 4 bananas worth of scraps. And someone had an upset stomach, a little bit of a tummy ache that night, I think was old Bubbles. Bella's got a stomach of steel, but Bubbles is a little less. So I want you to say goodbye. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Really appreciate it. Hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions or have any recommendations for future live streams, please let me know. One last question. I'll have it here. Joyce, do you use a microwave to reheat sweet potatoes? Well, we do not have a microwave. Take it as it is. We just decided we didn't want a microwave when we bought the new house and we renovated everything the kitchen. And so when we heat things, we heat on the stovetop, we heat in our oven, or we heat in the air fryer / little convection oven. So we don't, but you 100% can and be just fine and dandy if you heat with the microwave. So, all right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. This will be popping up right onto the feed here in a few minutes. Facebook takes a few minutes to do that, but once that gets going, you can, of course, find it there. If you enjoyed this and you think this is going to be helpful to someone, please hit the share button. That always helps. Like it. Comment if you see future posts. One thing that helps get the reach out since you've been on here, just my one ask would be that when you see posts in groups or you see my posts come up, please like and put a comment on there. I love interacting, and that helps Facebook get more people to see it, which helps the reach, which helps more people find out about a starch-based diet, a healthy, whole food, plant-based, vegan diet. All right, everybody. That's it for today. I will see you soon. Expect some more YouTube videos to come up. We got some big things coming out, and it's still pawpaw season. So if you got some pawpaws around, find some pawpaws. We'll see you.